welcome back to Bits and Bob's Divination. My name is Caitlin, and today we're going to be diving into the energy, insights, and guidance coming through for you for the next 2 weeks. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so welcome back my beautiful kindred spirits and anyone new who may be joining us here for the very first time for these readings. Today we're going to be looking into your 2-week ahead reading, as I mentioned, for those energies, insights, guidance, spirit guided messages, as well as internal and external influences, and the charms, of course. So if you're excited, definitely be sure to give this video a like, and also if you have any suggestions moving forward for any different readings and timeless readings that you'd like to see in the future, definitely let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear your thoughts, as recently I've been very curious to see what you would like to see next. But yeah, if you would like to, definitely feel free and consider subscribing to this kindred space if you haven't already, as I put out new readings every single Monday for love, career, spirituality, self-empowerment, monthly readings, and so much more. So definitely feel free to subscribe, and if you'd like to, definitely feel free to check out the different ways you can support this space as well for the snail mail readings that I do, as well as the Kindred tip jar. All of the information on that will be down below, as well as I have been really enjoying the snail mail readings that I've been doing recently, and they've actually been going quite fast lately, so definitely feel free to check out all of the information on that, as well as the different helpful reviews. But with all of that said, let's go ahead and start diving into your piles here. So here for pile number 1 and all of the piles, we have a crystal as well as an affirmation message. So let's go ahead and look first here at pile number 1. It says here, for your affirmation, let's try again. And then for your crystal here, we have Rutilated Quartz. So that is pile number 1. For pile number 2, your crystal of choice here is Amazonite. It's a very small piece of it, but very beautiful all the same. And then the message you have here is pay it forward. And then for pile number 3 here, we have the crystal of Carnelian in this sort of tooth shape. And then we have your message as live for today. So that's pile number 3. So before you start heading off to your pile, I invite you to take a deep and cleansing breath to connect with your intuition, to ground, and to really center with each of the energies coming through with each of these piles, so you can make a better decision. So let's go ahead and take a deep cleansing breath together here now. And as always, there's no right or wrong way to choose your piles. You can choose 1, 2, all 3. You can choose a pile, flip-flop, change your mind. There really is no right or wrong way to do this. All of the information for timestamps will be down below, as well as within the chapter marks of this video. And as I mentioned earlier, definitely feel free to check out the different ways you can support this channel through the Kindred tip jar or the snail mail readings, like, subscribe, that kind of stuff. But also, if you'd like to connect with me even further, definitely feel free to check out my Instagram community, as I'm there every single day and I've connected with so many of you there. So definitely feel free to check out that Instagram community. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get started here with pile number 1. Hello group 1, if you've decided to choose the affirmation of let's try again, as well as this piece of Rutilated Quartz, then this is the pile for you. I'm going to go ahead and set your crystal over here, and we'll put your let's try again down here, as we're going to see if it correlates with your reading or not today for your 2-week ahead. We're going to be using the charms, as you already know, the watercolor affirmations, as well as a couple different oracle decks, and the tarot deck of choice, which is the Gentle Tarot. It felt so fitting today. It's been so sunny and lovely lately, and I was just really feeling the nature vibe, so I hope you guys enjoy it too. All of the information on the different decks and supplies will be down in the description below, so feel free to get settled, grab some water, tea, a snack, cozy blanket, whatever gets you in that comfy tarot mood, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So here we go. Group 1, feel free to send your energy in. And let's see what you have for your main energies coming in for the next 2 weeks. So the first one that flipped in here, we have the Flower of Stones. This has honestly been coming up for a lot of people I've been reading for lately. So we have the Flower of Stones. And the Flower of Stones is very much like the Queen of Pentacles. So very nurturing, very lovely. But I really like the depiction of this one where they're kind of just floating around. It's got more of that water element mixing with the earth, which I really like in this depiction. It doesn't feel so intense. It feels much more like flowing, or like clay would feel like. So I want to see some more going on here with your next 2 weeks here, group 1, the energy coming through. Okay, so we also have the 10 of Wands. Very interesting. So seeing as we had such a flow state happening here, and then we have a very different state with the 10 of Wands, which is showcasing endurance, perseverance, resilience, but you can also see this as, holding on to too much or taking on a little bit too much as well. So you can definitely see it going both ways. You might be very close to finishing a project, or you just feel like the hill that you're climbing just keeps getting steeper and steeper. See how it resonates for you, but it definitely has a very different feeling, right? This one's floating in the water and floating down that river, and this one's having to carry so much, with so much force, something uphill. Very different energies, one carrying on the back and one going with the flow. So let's see where that balance is coming in here for you, group 1, for your next 2 weeks. Okay, so we have the Root of Stones. Interesting. That's actually really cool that you got both the root and the flower, both in the pentacle or stone suit, related to the earth element. So we have the earth element and then the fire element coming in here with the wands. So let's go ahead and start diving into these. So what I've already kind of associated here with you is just this idea of kind of needing to be more like clay. Like we have a bit of that water element showing up here just because of the way that this Flower of Stones is depicted, right? There's this feeling of going with the flow, sitting in the river, and knowing that the resources that you have are going to help you float down that river safely, and feeling more connected to yourself and connected to your power. Where this fire element, you can throw logs on the fire. It's going to be burning really hot. It's going to be really nice, the things that you're trying to put on the fire. So this could be things in career. This could be job. This could be just your general endurance throughout the day and the resilience and perseverance that you have. But there is a breaking point that comes with the 10 of Wands, right? So over these next 2 weeks, I think it's really important to check in with yourself and see, are you using your resources to help you float and make things easier for yourself? Are you making things flow a little bit easier? Or are you trying to just get things done? Are you trying to just push until, you have that breaking point, until either your body feels too tired to move through the things that you need to get done, or you maybe are lashing out at people because, you're feeling a little bit more hot-headed, or there's just a lot more going on. But there definitely is this sort of balance that needs to come in here. I do think that the things that you're working on definitely need that push. Sometimes we need that push of resilience to get things done, to persevere, to move through. But I think it can be done in a more gentle, nurturing way towards yourself, making sure to still take time to sleep, making sure to maybe prioritize your time a little bit better so that it does flow a little bit more, instead of like that all or nothing kind of mentality that's happening with the 10 of Wands. The other thing that I'll say too is we had that Root of Stones here. And as you can see, there's a little tiny bug that is the Root of Stones, also known as the Knight of Pentacles, which is a very resourceful knight, or a resourceful root in this case. They are very, they get their chores done. They know what they need to do, and they know how to do it in the right way. They're very resourceful. They're very loyal, very hardworking, but from a slow and steady pace sort of mentality and view on the world, right? The beetle it may be fast and it can whiz around and everything, but it also takes a little while in comparison to like human legs to get from one place to the next. So it's okay with taking its time. Hopefully that makes sense. But basically it's just like a smaller perspective. Sometimes if we break it down to the smaller details, that smaller point of view, that's when we're going to notice how to be more resourceful as well, to let our tasks and our projects flow versus being something that has to be so rigid or full of that idea of burnout. So those are the main energies we have coming in for your next 2 weeks. But let's look a little bit further. I'm going to grab the Seed and Sickle Oracle, and I used these the last 2-week reading that I did, and I really enjoyed it, and I think a lot of you did too, to do a reading where we look first into a card for the external influences over the next 2 weeks, and then the internal influences. So external are the things that you really can't control, right? We might be able to control our attitude, the way that we react to things, but these are things that are probably going to be outside of our control. And then these are the things that are going to be in your control. So let's go ahead and look at first the external influences coming in here for group 1 over these next 2 weeks. And definitely feel free as always to send your energy in. The one that we got here for you, and interesting that they would come up together actually, so I'll probably just take them both. Sometimes this deck really works intuitively like that. Is Foxglove here. This is in the summer suit, and it's the number 18. So interesting that you would get this one for your external influences, because it has a lot to do with being yourself and kind of standing in your power. So I see this as being other people possibly maybe pushing you to work harder. You might have external influences like a boss or a project or a big thing or a birthday party or something that's like outside of your control to, like, it's like an event of some sort, right? You can't reschedule it, you can't change it, but there is something about still being able to stand in your power through it, being able to flow through it versus like that brick wall feeling. But we'll look a little bit further. Like I said, it has the number 18 and is in the summer suit. But then you also have in the summer suit basil, which I think is interesting too. This is something that is in your wheelhouse. This is something you can control, right? So the internal influences that we have is basil. This is all about transitions, because basil was a plant that a lot of people would put in their houses or gift to someone who's about to go traveling for like good luck and good fortune through a transition of some sort. So if you're transitioning like or you're going through a big new phase in your life over these next 2 weeks, maybe a new job or something like a new house or a new point of view even on life. It doesn't even have to be something so physical like that. It can also just be something that's happening internally, like you just feel like a wheel is turning, something is changing within you. It does seem to be that you are going to have a lot of good luck and good fortune coming through, or a lot of people are going to meet you eye to eye. You might be having more honest conversations about it, how you're feeling, how this transition is maybe taking a lot out of you. There could just be that they could be a bit of that ease. They could be the people coming in to help. Both the root and the flower of stones here, either the knight or the queen, they both can showcase this feeling of someone being in your life as well. So if you feel like you have someone who's this nurturing type that's kind of go with the flow, just rolling down that river, or the type that sees things for those finer details, maybe they could be useful to you during these next 2 weeks to be someone to talk to get some advice. I think that they could be really useful, and you should definitely use them as like an asset for yourself. And with Foxglove, there's a lot of like peer pressure that comes from this card as well, this feeling of peer pressure, right? We can look at something that's so beautiful, so ornamental, but these can also be toxic and poisonous to us. So you can look at them and see them as this beautiful thing, but sometimes there's subtle ways that people sort of manipulate us, not even purposefully gaslight us, like even they might not even be realizing it, but I think it's about taking time. Like I said, it's something you can't control, that these people may be reacting this way to you, or you might be noticing people trying to pressure you into getting things done or doing it in the way that they would be doing it. But it's like I said, taking the advice through this transition, but you can also throw away that advice if you don't believe it's for you, right? This is, again, that standing in your power, that kind of feeling. You get to let in that advice and open that door to someone, but you can also close it just as easily. So I definitely like the power that comes from these two cards, but let's go a little bit further here and look into the next one with the Prairie Majesty Oracle. So this one we're going to be looking into a final card message here before we move on to the charms, for kind of an empowering advice message. So something that can empower you, something of an advice card moving through these next 2 weeks, and something to just maybe even be food for thought. Ooh, interesting that they kind of rolled that way. So this was the one that kind of fell out through the pile here. and it is the butterfly milkweed, which is interesting too that we have milkweed, which is very attractive to butterflies, which are all about transitions, right? Or transformations going on in our lives. But yeah, we had butterfly milkweed. It is match. And where do I give and receive? So this is about give and take. This is about finding equal balance, right? We were talking about a lot of balance here between these two energies already, that resourcefulness. There's a lot of balance already happening between these two cards as well. So there is something about matching your energy that makes sense for you too. Like, I feel like sometimes this card can be talking about like giving, receiving in like a very physical sense, like being paid for your work or things like that, which you definitely should be and stuff like that as well. But I'm seeing it more on that transition sort of point of view. And that I think that there's an energy that maybe it's someone in your life that you want to, like I said, take that advice from, and you almost want to match their energy, or you want to kind of come, like, I just feel like there's someone in your life that you really look up to and you're trying to match their energy. And I do think that sometimes can put a lot of pressure on us, but it also can be because you're going through that transition to figure out yourself, and at this time too, figure out what you would do in that situation if you were in their shoes, or if you could walk in their shoes for a day. You might realize that the energy that you're trying to match just doesn't really make sense for you, but it makes sense for them. So I do think this is about making sure that you are finding what makes sense for you over these next 2 weeks. It's a much more like, I feel like you obviously have like very literal things that are happening in your life, like within career, within love, within making these decisions and going through these transitions. But I do think a lot of it is mindset changes that are happening, right? Like, I don't think your life is actually changing all that much over these next 2 weeks, or it may be. But I also just feel like a lot of it has to do with the way that you see the world, you perceive the world, and how that is changing, how that's kind of flipping itself on its head, and that you're going to find a lot more balance through doing so. So those are all of your cards so far. We're going to go ahead and move on to your charms. Just as a reminder, we have Let's Try Again as your message here. So see if that resonates with the rest of the messages we've had so far. But if you're enjoying this reading so far, definitely be sure to give this video a like. It really does help the channel so much, so thank you. And you can subscribe as well and all of that. But we're going to go ahead and mix up these charms, so feel free to send your energy in and we'll get those final details for the next 2 weeks. Okay, we have a whole little bundle, and then I even had a letter just sort of like knock itself at my chest, and it is the letter O. So I'll have that here. O can just be like an initial, or maybe it can be like an epiphany moment that's coming in here. But let's go ahead and let me clear my throat there, but let's go ahead and start looking at what you have for your charms. So I will zoom you in. There's that letter O again. So immediately there's a huge cluster happening over here, and they're all sort of in this silver tone. But what I think is interesting is we have basil, which is transitions. It can also be like not just transitions from like one part of your life to the next, but can also be like travel in some way. So it's interesting that you would get the toy plane here, which can talk about being more playful with your travel, or going on like a day trip of some sort, a smaller trip, like a little hop, skip, and a jump away. But that's happening over here on foxglove. So I think it's interesting. Again, it's another tie to that basil card, which I don't know if I remember saying, but that's the number 24 as well. And that these two are definitely connected when it comes to those transitions and the pressure you may be having towards this adventure that you're going on, this hop, skip, and a jump. We also have on basil, on the other hand, we have I always see this as like Neptune in some way. It makes me think of dreams and like Pisces energy, and you can't really tell on camera, but this is like a very deep dip here. So when I see this too, it can also be that you're like really diving deep into this transition. This is definitely something that like you have to go all in for, or you keep feeling like you have to go all in for, but it might be more there might be more ease here than you think. And like I said, basil is all about making those transitions easier for you, making those transitions something that doesn't have to be so heavy. So I do think that that's interesting that it would fall on basil, because it's like you don't have to dive into the deep end. You could just cannonball or like step into the pool, you know, and make it a little bit more fun and like easy for yourself. We also have right next to the 10 of Wands and moving into this match energy where it says, where do I give and receive? We have the overwhelmed charm or overworked charm. So again, I do think you might be trying to match someone's energy, and maybe that's just a lot for you right now. It may also be just, again, that you might be trying to pull more weight than you need to, and that give and receive may be also talking about people in your life who maybe need to help create that balance for you. Maybe you have coworkers sort of slacking, or other people in your life who aren't really helping on that level. So that's another part of it. You also, I just realized, you also got another butterfly here. And this one's specifically about transitions, right? It's usually about, as you can see, there's a smaller butterfly and then an even larger one. So you're going from one mentality to the next. And the root of stones to the flower of stones is sort of that same thing, right? You've already transitioned once, but you're going to do it again and do it again. You're just keep getting better and better at the things that you're doing. The last charms that we have here, we have the security guard charm. It's a little key. So this is about secrets or secrecy, or wanting to have boundaries about the things that you talk about. So again, like I said, maybe it's because you have people sort of pressuring you into saying things that you don't really want to. Alongside that peer pressure element as well, you also have the parrot charm. This is about trying to sort of match people's energy in that same way, because parrots, right, they just say and repeat the same things that we say. They're not necessarily coming up with their own words. They're saying things because they've been said to them so many times. So this is also about maybe having your own original thoughts, or speaking out from the normal way that you always speak to someone. Maybe you need to change that flow or that narrative, or communicate something that isn't necessarily popular. The last charm that we have here is the spoony charm. So this definitely makes sense with the overworked feeling and needing more ease. So if you guys are spoonies, it's definitely about making sure that you think about your spoons through this time and how to utilize them in a more useful and resourceful way. So those are all of your charms and your cards. I'll go ahead and zoom you out so you can see a little bit more here. But those are all of your charms and your cards. I hope you enjoyed this reading here today. If you did, definitely be sure to give this video a like. It always helps the channel so much. And let me know in the comments down below how this resonated for you. I would love to hear. And if you're new to the channel and you'd like to see the different readings I put out every single Monday for love, career, spirituality, empowerment, monthly readings, and so much more, then definitely feel free to subscribe. And the last thing that I'll say is, if you would also like to kindly support this channel even further, then definitely feel free to check out the Kindred tip jar down below. And I also have snail mail readings that are open for this month as well, although you guys are flying through them this month. So if you definitely want to hit me up for one of them, then definitely check out all of the information down below, because they are kind of running out quite quickly. So thank you so much for checking in, for supporting this space and yourself, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Hello Group 2, if you've decided to choose this piece of Amazonite as well as pay it forward for your affirmation, which we'll see if it resonates with your pile here or if it's just a message for you, then we're going to go ahead and start looking into it. So we're going to be using the charms, the watercolor affirmations, as you already know, the 2 different oracle decks here, which I'll have listed with everything else down below, and the gentle tarot to look into your next 2 weeks. So feel free to get settled, grab some water, tea, a nice snack, get cozy, however you'd like, and we're gonna get started. So the next 2 weeks for you, Group 2, feel free to send your energy in, as always, through time and space, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So the first one that came out here is strength right off the bat. So there is something about strength here. I love this card too with strength and the idea that we can be strong but also so gentle at the same time. I absolutely love this card. So I want to see a little bit more information here where this strength is coming from, this courage, this bravery, and see where it connects over these next 2 weeks. Okay, so we also have the Two of Thunder. So the Two of Thunder has a lot to do about making decisions, listening to your intuition, getting into that sort of flow state to be able to really hear yourself and reconnect with yourself almost in a meditative way, or in a kind of clearing your thoughts so you can make a really nice decision or movement forward. So there we are with the Two of Thunder. Very different positions as well. Like if you look at these two, look at the two ways that they're holding their posture. Here they're so open, their heart is open, and then here they're like sort of cocooned or embryonic in a way. So there could be that ideas are brewing and you're ready to maybe have them come forward over these next 2 weeks. Or I also just feel like there's this feeling of like rest that may be needed. But let's go ahead and look a little bit further. So group two, what do you have coming in for your last card here for the next 2 weeks? Okay, so what we have here showing up for your last one is the Nine of Stones. So far we have the thunder is the air element, and then we have a major arcana, and then a stone, which is earth. So we have earth and air. The Nine of Stones, I really like this one too. It has this little bird here, which represents for me like spirit guides coming in, or spirit in some way sort of celebrating with us. The Nine of Stones showcases a lot of like freedom in a different kind of way. It's not like freedom in like a liberation way, but freedom in like, I don't have a ton of responsibilities, kind of lightening your load, or allowing yourself a little bit of like financial freedom and those sorts of things. So that's what we have coming in here with your 3 cards. Let's go ahead and dive into them a little bit deeper here. So right off the bat, just looking at it a little bit deeper here, again, with the body language, I feel like there's something about your body that's really coming in a lot within this, and the idea of how you express your body, right? People who put their hands in their pockets, some people can see that as hiding something. The way that you smile, or the way you hold yourself, the way you carry yourself says a lot to people, and I think you are really good at reading people based off of their body, those micro movements that we make, those sorts of things, or other people are really reading into those for you right now. And maybe in the just seeing where you're at and kind of listening to those intuitive clues and hits that you're getting. The other reason why I feel like intuition is really important with you over the next 2 weeks is we had Pay It Forward, which I'll talk about here in a second, but also with the Two of Thunder, it does showcase this feeling of being like surrounded in this water, but yet there's still this electricity, there's still this like thought that's happening. So when we're really in tune in meditation or in those spaces, those flow states, that's when we can really get in tune with like our thoughts. So I'm feeling like taking like a shower or a bath in some way to really relax your body is also going to relax your mind a lot as well. If you feel like you've been really overwhelmed by thoughts lately, or you just feel like you need a little bit of break, a little bit of rest, or you just feel like you just need your body to be held by that water to feel that feeling of safety and comfort, I definitely think that is just like in general a suggestion or something that might be really useful to you over these next 2 weeks, especially since strength again is another one that's in water, but like I said earlier, they're very different in the way that they carry themselves. With the two, they're very like closed off, and then with the strength card, you can see they're almost being wrapped up and supported. So over the next 2 weeks, I'd say really listen to your intuition. It's here to support you, it's here to hold you, it's here to really work off your instincts and make sure that you are safe and protected and cared for. It's also going to help you a lot if you have a decision you need to make, especially around financial or job or career or something like that. I definitely think that if a decision needs to be made there, and maybe you don't even know what it is yet, but if it does come across over these next 2 weeks for you, then I would say definitely listen to your intuition and make that gut choice. Try not to linger on a decision too long. And then the other thing that I'll say too with the Nine of Stones here is it showcases like financial freedom, or just feeling really like, even if you don't have like the most finances over the next 2 weeks, or you're not like getting paid like a ton or getting bonuses or anything like that, I just feel like you feel really comforted by, I feel like that's what's coming through with all of your cards, right? You're being comforted by the water. You're being comforted by your intuition, comforted by like this blanket of support and love and care that's coming in. And then we had that 9 of Stones. So being supported by your spirit team, being supported by yourself and your finances. There's just this feeling of support all the way around. And then pay it forward is making me think like maybe you've been supporting a lot of people in your life recently, or you want to support people, right? You're feeling a little bit more like you could, or you're in a place that you maybe could support other people. I definitely see that coming through, that it goes both ways, right? If you've been giving a lot of favors, helping people move, helping your friends, your family, doing those sorts of bigger things, it may be that you either want to pay it back to them, or they're ready to pay it back to you, right? They're going to hold you. They're going to support you as well, through whatever it is that you're making these decisions on, or just in general, they want to support you, be there for you, be that cheerleader for you, you know? The last thing I'll say with body language as well is look at these two as well. I just realized they are both holding up their hands, or their fins, I suppose, up high to the sky, feeling that sunshine, feeling that feeling of that growth that you have coming in here too. Not only does it have to relate to finances, it can also just be growth in your family, growth in your resources, growth in like yourself, like, you know, self-growth, that you feel more connected to your roots even, as that's coming through as well. So that's what I'm getting mostly. Like I said, the energy is just intuition, it's support, it's love, it's care, it's feeling like you can give to support others and others are going to pay it forward as well, or pay it back in some way. That's what I'm really getting so far from your cards. But let's go ahead and look a little bit further. So now we're going to go ahead and do something I did the last reading I did for the 2 week ahead reading, and I even used this Seed and Sickle Oracle. I absolutely have been in love with it for this. We're going to look into an external influence. So these are things that you really can't control over the next 2 weeks. And then we're going to look into internal influences, so the things that you can control over the next 2 weeks. And sometimes, and most of the time, they tend to correspond together. So feel free to send your energy and we'll see what comes in first with the things that you can't really control over the next 2 weeks. Other people's feelings, thoughts, actions, you know, those sorts of things that are outside of your control. Ooh. Okay, so first off, we have Blackthorn coming up in the fall suit, all about decomposition, connection, creativity, those sorts of things. And Blackthorn is definitely one that can come through with that in that fall way. And then I'm also going to go ahead and take this one out as well, because it's the other one that was calling to me. And you got Moonwort. I love Moonwort. It's one of my favorite cards in this deck. It is the number 15, and it is in the summer suit. So it's kind of rolling it backwards in terms of fall to summer. But yeah, Moonwort is a great one to get for internal influences, because it's about being able to be clever enough to sort of unlock any obstacle that you have in your way, right? If you got a brick wall in your way, a creative block, something like that, anything that may be coming in your way and trying to like ruin your parade, it's like you always have the key to get through that situation, because everything has a weakness, right? Even in that brick wall that's in front of you, there might be a bit of like mortar that wasn't done right, or you might just be able, maybe the bricks are made of glass and you can just like, you know, throw a rock at it and break it. Like, it's just seeing through the facade of the things that we think are barriers in our path, but usually they tend to be things that we have the power to unlock or move through, right? There's a lot of self-growth coming through, a lot of strength. So I do think that taking a little bit of time to meditate, to really go through the things that may be in your path and really taking a time to intuitively think about it, you're going to be able to see and unlock those barriers in your path, because they were really no match for you in the end anyway. And then over here for Blackthorn on your external influences, so things you really can't control, is the brick wall, basically is what we have here, right? So in this case, you can see the Blackthorn is interrupting this hand that's moving, right? So the hand moving here, the hand moving here, that feeling of freedom, that feeling of uplifted energy. This is like kind of cutting right through this. So this is like the weather, right? Sometimes we want to go outside, we plan to go outside to go on a picnic or go for a walk, but then it's like hailing all of a sudden, or it's like thunderstorms, or something happens that's outside of our control. But like I said, you have the key to make it still happen. The key is in your hand to still be able to sort of control that situation, in the idea of your mindset, and that you can either wait out the storm, or maybe you end up staying inside and having an indoor picnic, or like you throw on nature sounds and change up the environment in your house or something. Basically what I'm saying in this analogy is that you're able to switch the narrative. You have the strength to end like almost cunning nature, or curiosity and cleverness to change the narrative here. So even though this is outside of your influence, like you can't really expect the hailstorm, you're going to be able to still just be able to unlock and do the things you want to get done anyway. You know, it's not really going to even be something in your path, honestly. I just feel like you're going to be very open to changing your decisions or shifting around it. And I think that's really cool. So with that said, let's go ahead and get your final card here before we do your charms. This one is going to be specifically into an empowering advice message from Spirit and your higher self. So feel free to send that energy in, or to ask for that advice from your guides. But we're going to see an empowering message for the next 2 weeks for you for advice moving forward. Okay. So we have shelter. Interesting that you'd have shelter, because we had pay it forward already, and this one has a lot to do with paying things forward. So here we have the big blue stem. As you can see, it's very tall, very big, very sort of like a tall grass, and it says here shelter, as well as how can I be of service. So this is about, like, as you can see, they're sheltering the other plants so that they can grow, so that their sun isn't so intense, the heat isn't so intense. It houses a bunch of different bugs and nature, and can be a place of refuge for a lot of people by just being themselves, right? They don't have to do anything out of their ordinary. They're not stretching to make sure that that flower can grow and survive. They're just being themselves, and just by being themselves as that big blue stem, they are acting as some sort of service, or acting as a shield, or as another way for someone to grow. So I think it's really interesting that comes in with that pay it forward, and the fact that you had pay it forward, this feeling of service, this feeling of also maybe you're the person who needs to be sheltered, or maybe you're wanting to shelter others this week, these next 2 weeks. You might be at a place in your life where you want to give back to small businesses, to shelters, to other people in your life who have helped you along the way, who have given you strength, who have been that support system for you. And now you want to support them back, right? Just as much as the big blue stem looks like they're the top dog here, a lot of those flowers are also providing a lot of service as well, even though they're smaller. So I do think there is something about service, paying things back, and knowing that you are also going to be able to pay someone else back. Like sometimes we have a lot of guilt for asking for help, or asking or having other people ask for help. There's sometimes guilt or shame, or this feeling of like, I don't have the money right now, or I don't have the time right now, or I don't have this right now, and I really need your help. And asking for that, it can be such a big step. But I do think that you are there for other people, and they're there for you. So definitely, if you need help, if you need someone who is in this place right now to help you at this time, then definitely feel free to ask for it. Open that key. It is definitely available to you. So that's what I'm getting here with all of your cards. If you are enjoying this reading so far, before we move on to the charms, then definitely be sure to give this video a like. It really does help this channel so much, and I appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and pull those charms though, so feel free to send your energy in, and let's go ahead and look into your charms. So the next 2 weeks for group 2. Okay, not too many. Wasn't feeling a lot for you here, but I'm going to go ahead and zoom you in so you can see a little bit closer. So yeah, we only have like 5 or 6 here. The one that we had here first showing up is on the 9 of stones, or 9 of pentacles, and what I think is interesting is you have the snowy branch charm. It used to have more snow on it. Now it's just a branch, really. But it fell upside down, which is making me think that, like, if you feel like you've been going through like a winter time or feeling like things have been really slowing down on your growth, things are definitely going to be picking up over these next 2 weeks. If you feel like you've had just this really long, boring, stagnant period, things are definitely going to be kicking into gear for you with that growth. The next charm that I see here is on the Strength card, and what we have here is the Mirror. This is reflection, looking back to the past, ornamentation, those sorts of things. And what I see in this one, because it isn't looking through the mirror, it's actually putting the mirror down. So this is about not looking to the past as something that has to give you, it's not that you can't look to the past, like your past experiences, to give you strength over these next 2 weeks, but I think you want to pass that information on, right? Like, I don't think you're looking back through the looking glass in a way, for strength for yourself, but I think that you want to maybe even give strength to others. Maybe you've gone through some hard decisions, or you have some wisdom and advice that you want to bestow on other people in some way, and I think you're reflecting on it for them, or to, give them advice, give them guidance, give them experience, and teach them something. So I see that coming through in that way as an act of service. The other thing we have here on service with shelter is the feather charm. So the feather can talk about signs and signals. It can also talk a lot about communication. So I'm definitely getting communication coming in here with the solid heart as well. So this again is very solid, very strong. It's not going to break. It's very it knows what it has, and it's very strong in that strength way. So sort of reconnecting with that. So I think that, like I said, you want to maybe be a shelter for other people, and you want to communicate. So I see advocacy here. I see giving back in that way, advocating for other people, or maybe working with like groups, or passing on some sort of wisdom from an experience that you've had, or a transition you've gone through. And I see that coming through because you've healed a lot of your heart, or you feel really solid in your feelings right now to be able to talk about it and to be able to relay that advice, because sometimes it's not easy to do right after it, but after you've had a couple of years away or some time away from the situation, that's when you might be able to give back. And then lastly, here on Moonwort, we have more intuitive energy coming in here with the crown energy center. So this is coming in with Moonwort, which, like I said, is very intuitive. It's also seeing through the facade of things, and listening to your intuition has been a big thing coming up for you. So if you have a decision to make, getting in the bath or getting in the shower or getting in a place that you can feel very calm and listen to your intuitive senses is going to be really important in unlocking this for you. So those are all of your charms and cards here. I'll go ahead and zoom you out so you can see all of it, but those are all of them. If you enjoyed this reading, definitely be sure to give this video a like, as I mentioned earlier, but also let me know your thoughts in the comments down below about this service, about these different cards that came through with your external and internal influences. I would love to hear your thoughts. Also, if you are new to the channel and maybe this is one of your very first readings here with me, or if you haven't already, then definitely feel free to subscribe to this Kindred little community here on the internet, because I put out new readings every single Monday that I don't want you to miss out on, for empowerment, for love, for career, for your spiritual gifts, and all sorts of things like that. So definitely feel free to subscribe so you don't miss out. And if you would like to kindly support this space as well, the Kindred tip jar will be down below. It's a great way to help me get more decks and supplies to uplift these readings for you. And also, you can check out, if you'd like to not only support yourself but also support this channel, then you can definitely check out these snail mail readings that I'm doing. A lot of you have been really hitting me up for some of these readings lately, which has been so much fun. So if you want to join in on all of that, then definitely feel free to check out all of the information on those down below. And before I run out of breath here, I'm going to go ahead and move on to group 3. But thank you so much for being here, for supporting yourself and supporting this space. And I will see you in the next one. Bye. Hello, Group 3. If you've decided to choose this piece of Carnelian as well as your affirmation for the next 2 weeks of Live for Today, then this is the pile for you. We're going to see if your affirmation really hits with the rest of your pile, but just in general, that is your affirmation for the next 2 weeks. We're also going to be using the charms, like I said, the affirmations, as well as different oracle messages, which I'll have all of the different supplies down below in the description. But the tarot deck of choice today is the Gentle Tarot. I've been loving the nature vibes that it's been giving me, so I hope you guys enjoy it too. It's so gentle and lovely. So let's go ahead and start looking in. If you are settled and ready to go, so feel free to get some water, some tea, a nice snack, a cuddly blanket, whatever really gets you in the zone. My older sister loves to do chores and such during this too, so feel free to use it as a podcast style if you'd like. But we're going to go ahead and get started, so feel free to send your energy in through time and space, and let's go. So Group 3, what do you have coming in for your month, your next 2 weeks rather? So here we are first off with the 7 of Stones coming in. I absolutely love this card. It's so beautiful. And the 7 of Stones has that earth element that comes through with the stone suit. But let's go ahead and look a little further. So here we go, Group 3. What else do you have coming in for your next 2 weeks? Group 3. So we have the Magician. Nice. Another a major arcana coming through here. The Magician in this card just feels like pure energy, right? Energy and life force, just making things happen. I love that for you, especially with the 7 of Stones, which has a lot to do with like that feeling of like finishing something and asking yourself what is next, and having like that blank page to write anything in, which can both be super daunting but also really exciting too. So let's go ahead and see what else you have coming in here with the Magician, the 7 of Stones. What else do you have coming in for your next 2 weeks? So we also have the Harvest of Stones. Really nice. So we have 2 stones. A lot of stones have been coming through with the entire reading, in terms of all 3 piles. So there's definitely things coming in with the Earth suit, and that you also have both the Harvest of Stones and the 7 of Stones coming through. So let's go ahead and start diving into this. We had Live for Today as your message, and we have right in the center this intense orange coming in. I almost feel like they're looking at this message, seeing it from a new perspective. Like I said, I feel like what I got immediately from the 7 of Stones is this feeling of like that blank page, that new opportunity, a new adventure, a new space for you to grow, right? So this could just be like the next 2 weeks, you just have a little bit more extra time and you're not sure what you want to fill it with. It can be that you have a new project that you're working on or working towards, or you just have so much open opportunity and space and time for yourself to explore something new that you haven't done before, or you've done it once before but you haven't gotten to continue to brush up on those skills, because as you can see, there is this feeling of like you already planted something once, and this is you being able to successfully plant it again. So maybe it's a creative hobby, or like I said, a project, or it could be work, it could be anything really. But the most important thing is living for today and making sure that what you're writing into this next chapter is because you want to write it in, because it's something you want, and it's, sometimes it's hard for us to be selfish in that way, which isn't really selfish. It's just sometimes we see selfishness as being something horrible or bad, but sometimes we need that time. Sometimes we want to just do something solely for ourselves and our joy and our enjoyment in life. And I think that's what's coming through the most, because you also have the Magician. Look at the carefree nature of the Magician. There's also this feeling of being able to control all of the elements with the Magician, right? Earth, air, water, fire, and using those resources. And the other reason why I feel like you're very resourceful over these next 2 weeks, and really in tune with what makes you happy, what really buzzes your life force and your life energy and really makes you feel alive, is because we also have the Harvest of Stones here. And the Harvest of Stones has this steady feeling to it, right? Nothing's going to move them or budge them if they do not want to move, right? They are very steady, very strong, very not necessarily stuck in their ways, but they're just not going to be pushed around. There's this feeling of really stepping into your power, but not from like a aggressive standpoint, but more like, this is who I am, this is what I want to do, this is the new thing I want to explore, and I'm gonna do it, you know what I mean? And I think it's cute too, because there's like a small little version of this creature here. I don't know exactly if it's like a sort of buffalo or an ox, I don't know. I will have to look at the guidebook and let you guys know in editing, but with this, you can see like they have this rain and also the rainbow, but you also have this rain that's trying to like maybe rain them out or trying to push them to do something else, right? Things outside of their control or other people's feelings and thoughts, but they aren't being rained out. They're just keep looking to the sky, and they just keep using their experiences to move them forward versus something that's going to hinder them. Because as you can see also here, the magician has that same rain, but instead of using the rain as something that would, make them want to go back inside or, go for cover, instead they use it as energy to kind of fuel their fire and make things happen, and transmute energy is what I'm seeing here too, right? Taking something that could be really like not so great and making it a really great situation. We definitely have a lot of rainbow energy here. So again, that feeling of like the rainbow after the storm. But mostly what I'm getting here is just you have a lot of potential for new growth this week, or these next 2 weeks. You have a lot of opportunity to write in your story and what you really want to do, and making sure that nobody pushes you back, and being able to use that to kind of revitalize your energy, your creative energy, your expressive energy, expanding that energy onto the page that you want to write. So I love that so far for you. Let's go ahead and look a little bit further. So now we're going to pull 2 more cards. So this is going to be with the Seed and Sickle Oracle, and I did this the last 2-week reading, and I've been really enjoying it for these. We're going to look into your your external influences and your internal influences. So these are the things that you most likely can't control: other people's feelings, thoughts, emotions, actions, and then your internal influences, so the things that you can control: your feelings, your thoughts, your actions. So let's go ahead and see what's coming through on each of those sides and how they connect. So definitely feel free to send your energy in, that always helps. So external influences. Let's see. So we have chamomile. Interesting that you would get this one. We have it in the winter suit with the number 49 here. Chamomile has a lot to do with, as a lot of you know, like sleep and rest and relaxation. But it also does have a lot to do with support. So I think it's interesting that the things that are coming in for external influences don't really tend to have a lot of, even though we had that Harvest of Stone showcasing that energy of putting your foot down, it does seem that there is a lot of support here. There is a lot of room for support, and a lot of room for maybe even letting other people come in and try this new thing with you. Maybe doing it in a group setting in some way, like going to a group Zoom meeting on it, or a class of some sort, or something like that, if it's like a new hobby. But with whatever it may be that you want to start heading into, I do think that there's a lot of room for community there. So let's go ahead and see your internal influences, so the things that you can control. Let's see, what can you control over the next 2 weeks that are internal influences that are influencing the situation. Okay, so we have one that just flew over here. All right, so we have strawberries. This one I think came up, the last one too, but we have strawberries. This one's been coming out a lot, and it is the number 39 in the fall suit. This one has a lot to do with seeing new possibilities. I think that's interesting because with your 7 of Stones already, like I said, you had one path you were taking and you're ready to deviate to a new one. You're already looking up, and even the magician is looking up to a new path, right? You're already on to the next thing. You're already ready to move on to the next thing. And strawberry is all about making a new path. As you can see underneath all of the leaves and the strawberries themselves, there are new pathways sort of opening and little vines moving and creating new spaces for you. So the things that you can influence is deviating from the path that is known, trying something new, turning that page, seeing something new, and really living for today. So taking each day as a gift and an opportunity to move into the things you want to make shifts and changes. Those small little shifts and pivots can be so monumental over time, right? So we can make small steps and changes every single day, but long term, they can make so much more growth. And I think that's what's coming through most for these cards for you. So let's go ahead and keep on moving. So I'm going to go ahead and look into your final card here, but do stay tuned because we will be looking into your different charms. But this one is going to be an empowering advice message from spirit or your higher self, the universe, God, goddesses, however you see it. But feel free to invite that energy in, and we'll start looking into that empowering advice over the next 2 weeks for you. So what do we have coming in for advice from spirit to empower and give growth for group 3? Oh my goodness. So the one that came out right away was what is mending with the purple cone flower, and it says here heal. So very different energy, and interesting too with chamomile, right? It has a lot to do of those healing properties. So I feel like there's something coming in that's external, outside of your influence, but right, sometimes we think of those external influences, things that are outside of our control, as something that can be, detrimental or bad, or, we have to push against the control. But sometimes if we let go of control and get into that group setting or let other people in, we might even allow ourselves some more healing and mending. So here with healing and mending, I do think that you're getting a lot of healing because you're listening to yourself, right? You're listening to your life force, your soul, your spirit, and what it wants every single day, and moving through that to make better changes. Sometimes we just end up and I talked about this on my Instagram recently, and it was this whole post about sometimes we end up climbing a mountain we didn't even want to climb in the first place, right? We just follow other people, or we head down a path or down a trail we didn't even expect to go down, but we started heading down it and realized that we didn't even want to go down that one in the first place. So I see with this, with healing, as in the idea that you're making more purposeful actions and changes in your life every single day over these next 2 weeks that are going to be more healing, mending, and empowering for you. So maybe that's because you're getting more help and love from your community and support. Maybe it's because you're heading on these new paths and you're realizing that you need to deviate from the paths you've been just sort of mindlessly scrolling on your phone through, or walking on this path through, or just doing the same things every single day, even though it's not really giving back to your life energy. It's not really giving you what you need, So I see this as being really healing for you, and it's going to be mending a lot of things and giving you a lot more space for healing as well as growth. So now that we have all of your cards, let's go ahead and move on to your charms for this reading. But if you have been enjoying it so far, if it's been resonating and you've been liking this reading so far, definitely be sure to give this video a like. It really does help the channel so much, and I appreciate it so much for the support. But let's go ahead and start heading into your charms. So feel free to send your energy in, and we'll get those bits and bobs details for the next 2 weeks. So here we go, group 3. Okay, so let's see here. Go ahead and zoom you in so you can see all of the charms in a little bit more detail. Okay, so the things that we got here, a lot of them fell up here towards the top, and I think it's really interesting because we were talking with that 7 about a new hobby or a new thing that you're going to be trying out, and you got the charm all about trying on something new. This is specifically a charm that was given to me by one of my best friends who went through a phase where she was wearing little septum rings and trying something new, trying and deviating from something that she hadn't really, tried before. And this was like a baby step into that, right? Making small changes for that. This can also showcase maybe a change in fashion sense or a change in that way. But it is about expressing yourself and expressing the way that you see yourself in a new way. And allowing yourself to celebrate yourself as well, like dressing yourself up or getting really hyped about that thing. So maybe it's about getting the tools for that new project or getting the enthusiasm for it through the way that you dress or the way that you express yourself. So that's coming through in that way, that new pathway. And then another reason I think that's really interesting too is you ended up getting on the Magician a sort of ballerina charm. So this can talk about balance, this can talk about precision, dedication, but it also talks just in general about dancing in a very literal way, right? Ballerinas may dance, a lot of them really enjoy dancing, but in some ways it can be very specific and poised and things like that. So maybe it's about allowing yourself to sort of loosen up a little bit, right? Allowing yourself to be a little bit more wild, a little bit more free in that way, allowing yourself to express even just in your own room, dancing or getting a little bit more in that flow state and enjoying just living and breathing and being alive. And maybe that's through music, maybe that's through dance, maybe it's through something else. But I do think that those small everyday moments in that way, and really noticing those, is going to give you a lot of that life force back. The other reason I say this is because what fell between these new pathways is the thou shall not steal charm, which I always think of as, making sure that you don't let anyone sort of steal this opportunity from you, steal your joy, steal your new expression and way that you express yourself, right? So I think that's really interesting that those came up together. But here on your last charm with chamomile, you actually got the penny charm. And this one is specifically from 2014, in case that resonates for anyone. But I see this as being a idea of like a lucky penny, or sort of like, with lucky pennies, right, you're not supposed to take the lucky penny that you find. Okay, so like basically, like if you have a lucky penny, right, you find it this way, you're supposed to turn it to the head so it'll be lucky for someone else who walks by. But that means that someone else may be turning that for you right now. I feel like I said, external influences don't always have to be from a place that is trying to steal your thunder or steal this experience. I think a lot of people are also trying to put luck in your cup, trying to be that support into your cup, trying to be that for you. And maybe that's through little acts of kindness that you either bestow on other people, or other people might just be being a little bit more kind to you or enjoying the space with you, enjoying your new energy and expression. So I think that there's a little bit of balance here, right? Putting those boundaries to the people who aren't supporting you, and allowing that support to come in from those who are. And that can be really healing and mending as well. So those are all of your charms and cards here. I'll go ahead and zoom you out so you can see them all again here. But those are all of them here today. If you enjoyed this reading, definitely, as I said earlier, give this video a like, but also let me know in the comments down below how it resonated for you. I would love to hear what new hobby or new thing or new pathway you're heading on. I think that's really interesting and intriguing. So definitely let me know. And also, if you are new to the channel, maybe this is one of your very first readings here with me, then definitely feel free and consider subscribing to this Kindred space. It's small but mighty, and I'd love to be able to empower you each week with the Monday readings that I put up. But if you'd like to support this channel even further, then definitely feel free to check out the Kindred tip jar down below. It's a great way to support this space so that I can uplift it with new decks and supplies, and to financially support it, so that I can keep doing these for each of you. But also, if you would like to check out the different ways in which you can also support this channel and yourself, then you can check out the snail mail readings that I do. They are typewritten on a vintage typewriter. They are sent to you in the mail. They are very treasured, and a lot of those who have received them have left reviews that you can check out down below as well. I have been getting a lot of people that have been all of a sudden this month very interested, so definitely feel free to hop on those. If not, you'll just go into the next slot on my list. So definitely feel free to check all of the information on that down below. And yeah, thank you so much for all the support and love, and also for supporting yourself through this reading. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.